Hey, everybody. Welcome to Super Regional Weekend. Aaron Fitt, Kendall Rogers, the Nerd Master General, Mark Etheridge. We're just hanging out, watching some baseball tonight, you guys. This is it's a new thing for us. Kendall, you being the big celebrity you are on the internet,
Yeah.
you were invited to do
Yeah,
one of
my
these by an LSU radio station, right?
yeah,
And you
my
said, "Hey,
man,
this is
my
fun."
man, Matt Moscona had a companion show, and I think there were for the Oregon LSU game that night. I think he had something like 980 people on there. So that's a high bar we've got to meet, guys.
It is. So so basically, we're just going to hang out. We're just going to pretend like we're friends. It's going to be hard for us. We're just hanging out watching a baseball game together, and we'll just see how it goes. We'll just see how long this lasts. But right now, it's the second inning. Ole Miss 3, Arizona 1. Early thoughts on this game, fellas? I mean, I think the big storyline was the first inning for Arizona. You got Tim Elko up with the man on second and first base open and 2 outs. And Jay Johnson does what Twitter has wanted everyone to do and just walk Tim Elko. And how'd that work out for him, guys?
Yeah, not so great. Not so great. In when there was a double in the corner, and it's 2 outs, and I'm thinking almost anyone else is going to score on that, right? But the one-legged guy is the one on base, so of course he's running like me out there. So of course they end up scoring anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be a big key this weekend for Ole Miss. Is if they're going to continue to walk Elko, guys like Justin Bench behind him in the lineup have to produce. By the way, guys, just kind of looking at some of the early games today. The first game of the day, Vanderbilt took care of East Carolina 2-0. I think Kumar kind of threw the way we expected him to. Honestly, the guy I was kind of keying on was Gavin Williams. Aaron's seen him a couple of times this year. We've heard about how good he has been this year. But for me, Gavin Williams made himself some money today.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that he's always had the big arm. I mean, for those who aren't familiar with his career trajectory, I think early in his freshman year, he's popping triple digits in the radar gun, and everyone kind of went nuts. ECU hadn't really had a guy through 100 that I can remember. And he didn't throw a lot first couple of years. He just had trouble staying healthy. He probably would have been drafted somewhere last year, but the draft was shortened. So he comes back for his 4th year. And I mean, it was the rap on him has always been he couldn't really spin the breaking ball very well. It was like a fastball changeup guy. It was big velocity. He needed to get tougher. That's something that they were pretty frank with him about. And he has. I mean, if you look at him now, you saw him today, in the tough environment against a really good offensive team in the super regionals. I mean, he pitched his butt off, man. And he had the slider going. That's been a huge thing for him, is he just kind of tinkered with that grip. Jason Dietrich, the pitching coach, tried a whole bunch of different stuff with him. And then it kind of clicked one day, and he just throws it with so much authority now. He'll spin that big kind of top to bottom curveball in there as well. And he actually, I thought, had that working pretty well today too. But he's a different guy. He's just a totally different guy than he was. He's always had a big arm, but now he's, I think, turned himself into a real competitor and a real pitcher. And I agree with you. I think on that stage, he might have elevated himself from like a second rounder to a first rounder.
Yeah, and that was such a fun game too. I mean, with those guys going back and forth, I kind of wrote something about that in the diary, where it's, in today's world, you see so many, 10-9 games and 8-7 games, and this was one where every pitch seemed to matter. You wondered if this next one would be the mistake, right? And it was really interesting how Vandy had to go to small ball. Really, they manufactured those 2 runs that they got. Yeah, they use speed, they use bunts, and that was the difference in the game, because you just weren't going to get much, against those arms today.
We got some good questions already in the chat here. Kendall, you want to comment on the new appearance here? I mean, this is a big controversy. You shaved the playoff beard.
Yeah.
Not even in Omaha.
I had a scraggly beard, and I might have been told that I had a couple of gray hairs, so I had to kind of trim it down a little bit. Plus, Omaha's next week. I got to look fresh, right?
Or as fresh as you can, man.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
No,
well, the good news is for you, since you care so much, it'll probably be grown out by the time I get to Omaha next week. So
you do have like the Homer Simpson thing going. It's like 4:00. It just pops out.
Yeah.
Um,
Guys, the second game of the day, Stanford 15-3 over Texas Tech. I'm not sure I saw this coming. It is interesting, though, fellas. I was talking to a Pac-12 coach yesterday for the Super Regional preview, and some of the things he said kind of surprised me. Number one, we were talking about Stanford, and he said, honestly, ooh.
I'm waiting 13 seconds to see what happens. I'm gonna delay.
I'll wait a second.
Who hit that ball, Kendall?
Bullard.
They got some strong gentlemen in that lineup. Both these teams are very physical offensive clubs.
This is going to be an awesome Super Regional.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing about Stanford is, I was talking to a Pac-12 coach about them yesterday, and we see Arizona's offense right now, and he actually thought Stanford's offense makes harder contact, and he thought they were a little bit more dangerous. So at the time, I'm kind of thinking, well, I'm not sure I agree with that. He held Brendan Beck's praises, and Brendan Beck threw really well against Texas Tech. I think he had 13 strikeouts and 7 in the third innings. But Stanford starts out that game with a homer from Tim Talbot, who's had a really nice bounce back year. Stanford looked the part, guys. I mean, they hammered the ball. Granted, Tech was starting Chase Hampton, the number 3 guy, but still, they kind of set the tone in that series, I thought.
Well, we talked a lot about it. I think even in our midweek show here, how is Stanford going to handle that heat? I mean, you're playing. That's one reason why I thought Texas Tech had a big advantage, is because those games were scheduled for the middle of daytime.
Yeah,
102 to 106 degrees out there today. You got these NorCal guys. I mean, it was
rocking
cold.
The black jerseys, baby.
I know.
Rocking the black jerseys, so they got no fear.
It. What it reminds
Monday
me
night
of,
out there.
It's like when the linemen, right?
Yeah, when the linemen don't wear a shirt
when
when it's like 10 degrees outside. Yeah, Stanford's we're wearing our blacks today, baby.
And they were the team that looked comfortable. They were right at home. I mean, did you guys see David Esker joking around? He's smiling in the dugout, and he's joking around with a couple of Texas Tech fans right behind. And it's just they seem so at ease. They came right out and set the tone early. Maybe it helps you got Brennan Beck on the mound. They feel like they're going to beat anybody when he's pitching. Boy, he was good, guys. I mean, talking about just
really
dotting up, hitting his spots, and both the slider and the curveball going. That was fun to watch.
And it was interesting, too, because, we saw NC State go to the bullpen pretty quick in the game against Arkansas when Arkansas extended its lead. I think it was 7 or 8-1, and they started kind of going to their lesser bullpen guys. But, Tim Tadlock, I think he kind of had a feeling that Brendan Beck was about to have a great night or a great day on the mound, because he went to his bullpen and started going to some, guys like Eli Reitman pretty early in that game, I felt like.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We should address the Arkansas game too. Some questions here in the comments. Is this going to be a competitive series? NC State did kind of the same thing. Once they were down 7-1, I'm not going to say they punted, but you're not going to bring it. You already got 5 guys on that staff that you lean upon, and you're down 7-1. You're not going to use one of those other 4 guys. And so they did it, and the score got out of hand, but that's kind of to be expected. Texas Tech played it the same way. I mean, you only have so many bullets. Those 2 staffs are not deep. Neither is Stanford. You got to save your bullets for when they matter. When you're already down 7-1, even though there's plenty of game left, I mean, I don't blame them for playing for. Your best chance to win the Super is to win the next 2 games. You're very unlikely to come back and win this one.
And it was really weird for me because it was the 3rd inning. As soon as the grand slam happens, I just felt the game was over. I really, because there's cops looming out there, right? And I just felt like it was over. And maybe that's what Elliott thought too. It's just, hey, at this point, we'll just play for tomorrow.
Right. I mean, somebody said, I think NC State's overrated. They're not. Give me a break. I mean, come on. That's not accurate. I mean, it's one game when, again, like Texas Tech, they dug into their depth chart, and kind of wore it. Don't read into that. I mean, NC State's very good.
Yeah.
That's
so is Arkansas, and that's the deal,
team,
right?
Arkansas is the best team in the country. Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
They're decent, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to, and plus in that environment, it's so electric. I mean, it's fun.
And that's, I do agree that Nebraska got screwed on the draw. But that's just what happens when you don't feel you don't seed the field 1 through 64. You lean on geography for those 2 seeds. That's what happens every year.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you're officially team 17. If you're close to team number 1, that's where you're going to go. I mean, they don't do a reverse snake order.
Right. And if Arkansas were the 16th seed instead of the first seed, Nebraska still goes there.
Exactly.
Right. So it's just bad luck, bad draw.
And I think we all think that they should do that differently. I mean, don't get me wrong, but we also understand the reason. There are advantages to using geography when you're building the field. It helps.
Yeah, fans can go.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not a flight.
Yep.
Right. Or it doesn't have to be.
By the way, Mark, Ben Upton from 11.7, one of our good friends at 11.7, he wants to know what your shirt is. He said it's a sweet shirt.
Good call. This is my alma mater, Livingston University. It no longer exists. It is now the University of West Alabama.
That's what I thought it was. Okay.
So this shirt is not as old as it looks, because it would be falling apart, and it also would not fit if I had bought in college. But yeah, it's an old LU shirt. It was, I believe they changed their name in '95. So anyway,
awesome.
They got some nostalgia stuff. I think you can find them online.
Yes. Speaking of, go check out our partners at homefieldapparel.com.
Yeah.
They've actually, speaking of super regionals, they are actually coming out with LSU gear this weekend. They just signed LSU, so they're coming out with a bunch of LSU gear this weekend, and they just dropped a Notre Dame line, I think, today. So Notre Dame and LSU fans, check out our friends at Homefield Apparel. And also thanks to our partners at Wilson for sponsoring the postseason at D1 Baseball. There's certainly
Marini, Louisville Slugger. Yeah, all those guys are under that.
All the above. Evo Shield.
Yep. Yeah. Follow-up question from our friend Branson Nelson. Curious why Oregon State winds up in Fort Worth if it's based on geography. Well, if you're in the Northwest, there's nowhere you can. Yeah. You can't go play.
They got to go somewhere.
The same conference, right? You got to go somewhere. You're going to have to fly, regardless.
So what I like, because I get this question a lot too, and the way I like to answer it is, what the committee wants to do is get a balance get a competitive balance and a geographical balance, right? And you don't always hit on both, but you try to get one or the other. Yeah. And that's the same thing we try to do when we're putting these projections together, these mock fields. It's the same concept. And it's kind of weird because you can change one team here and it has a ripple effect all the way across, and you try to find that perfect jigsaw, and sometimes they do a better job than others, but anyway, that's the way that works.
Well said, Nerd Master General. That's why we keep you around. There's a lot of questions. Kendall, I don't know. I can't scroll down back through the questions. Can you?
Okay. Yeah, I'll go through some of these.
I don't know why I can't scroll down.
Yeah, I can't either.
I should have been the host. What should I get for letting Kendall host?
I can scroll down just fine. How many Chrome tabs do you have open? That might be the reason why you can't scroll down.
Not a factor.
No.
And I actually don't have that many for me. I probably only have about 8 tabs open right now.
And I also can't see you guys. I can only see myself. Is that the way this works? Yep.
That's weird.
Which I know what I look like.
How is it looking at yourself? Are you impressed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm styling, guys. I just got a haircut yesterday. It's like the first one in, I don't know, since February.
Looking good, Marcus.
I know it.
Top of the third here. It is hard work. Yeah. Guys, let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about Arkansas. I can't imagine there's anyone out there who cares about Arkansas, right? Yeah. That's sarcasm. Those guys look awesome, huh? My God, what a performance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of thought after last week and after Nebraska kind of scared them a little bit. I thought they'd be very dialed in tonight. I thought they'd kind of get back to who they are. I'm not sure I saw them winning 21-2.
No.
But I thought they'd play really well.
And it was also big that the Cops got a day off too, because after throwing so much Monday, the ideal situation is to not use him at all, and you get out to a big lead like that, and oh boy, that was just the perfect win for Arkansas.
Exactly. My man Chuck Welsh is kind of feeling it right now. Another home run, opposite field.
You got to find a way to get him in the lineup. I know there's you know, there's a lot of good guys. He would have to push one of them out, but
Yeah.
he's swinging it. Oh man.
How huge was that Bob Moore home run early too? I mean, NC State takes the early 1-0 lead, and then Bob Moore hit it that place. It just kind of the fan